That we had a previous guest, so we might play that, and you will enjoy that. If you haven't seen it, you'll definitely like it, and if you have seen it, it'll be worth your time watching it the second time. So this is really nice replay webinar we'll have. Well, let's wait for a little bit um, to see if Wayne shows up today, and if not, uh, we'll just watch the replay today. So how is everybody doing? Please type in where you at in the world. If you are seeing me and hearing everything okay. Uh, and we'll get started here in a little bit. Um, and also, uh, yeah, so we'll get started in a minute. Thanks for joining, everybody. Those of you, those of you who are already here, and a lot of you will watch this as a replay. So this is going to be fun, and we'll get started here in just a second. Just waiting to see if Wayne comes on anytime soon. And if he doesn't, then we'll just play the replay and go ahead with the webinar with the replay. And many of you will watch this live, and if not, you can watch this at our Eat Community website and uh, let us know how you like this. So I'll get started. Looks like Wayne's not available today. So just we'll watch a replay. Enjoy this.
Right. Well, hey, everybody. And there'll be more people coming in, I know, over time. But we are so excited today to have Shell with us. And I think I've got that right. I was guessing that the T was silent, and it would be
exactly. It's like cello without the O.
And the last name, I'm going to take a guess. DePape or DePape? Yeah, that's got to be.
You got it the first time. Very impressive. Yeah.
Okay. And now tell me genesis of the name. Is it French? What's the background?
It's Flemish Belgian.
Flemish Belgian. Okay, very cool. We were talking before we got started, everybody, about Shell's, a little bit of her geographic background, and she spent some time in Utah, and not very far from here in northern Colorado. By the way, we have lots of friends in Utah. We raise alpacas, and we're very active in a regional organization that's based here in northern Colorado, but it goes all the way over. We have lots of members over in various different places in Utah. So I've been to a variety of different farms and ranches in that area.
Very nice. I've met an alpaca farmer in Vernal, Utah. So I don't know if you are associated with them.
Vernal farmers. I can't remember the names right now. By the way, I went to University of Idaho for my PhD a number of years ago, and then I lived in Boise for a bunch of years, but I had an office here in Denver. So that's the other reason that I would come through Utah, either coming south and back, along I-70, or staying north and going on I-80, going through Park City and staying in that area. But I've seen that road and that highway under every different climate condition you could possibly imagine. So, and the memories are mostly of the bad climate situations, and it's mostly in Wyoming, where it can get awful windy and awful cold very fast. So wait, let's start with this. Tell us how you got started with your passion about indoor growing, and then we'll talk more specifically about microgreens. So, but just let's talk indoor growing first.
Okay. Well, most of my passion was outdoor farming, um, especially in Indiana and Utah. And one of my first entrepreneurial businesses when I was 10 years old and living in Utah, in that town of 5,000 people, I would grow pumpkins and sell them to the neighborhood kids for Halloween. So that was the first time I made money growing plants. And everywhere I've lived since, I've always had a garden and have a real passion for, growing all sorts of fresh vegetables and herbs and sharing them.
Very cool. And um, again, she just gave a little bit more of her past. She grew up first in Indiana and then a bunch of years in Utah. And she is now in the Bay Area, in Oakland, West Oakland, which is very urban.
Yes.
I asked about that. And we've sort of overlapped in some things that location-wise. I've had a project in Alameda, which is just across Little River, really, from Oakland. And so your first passion was just food in general, and then you have an entrepreneurial passion. So how early were you able to take that to being full-time, or did you have to linger in a job for some years before, or are you still in some kind of a job also?
Well, before I got my degree in photography, and I've been a photographer ever since, mostly specializing in food, ironically. And then did that, freelance for 20 plus years and had a nice in-house photographer job. And of course, along came COVID and kind of, everything shut down. So I'm not one to sit around. And I was thinking of what other jobs that I love and, and could spend hours doing, not even consider it work. And gardening was something that came into my head. And then I'm like, well, how the heck am I going to make a living at gardening in the Bay Area and in a very urban space? Obviously, land prices in the Bay Area are very, very expensive. So it's not like I could have, rolling acres of, crops or corn or, pigs. So I discovered microgreens and really excited about them. It ticked off all my boxes of what I want to do. And I just absolutely love it. It's been a year and a half now, and I'm getting bigger and growing and making more connections, and I couldn't be happier. And this is my only job.
Cool. Very cool. And in what area of a dwelling, I'm assuming it might be your home, is your farm? Is it in what was previously the garage, something in a basement, or what?
This behind me is actually a warehouse space that I'm renting in West Oakland. Yeah. And I live about 10 minutes away, which is perfect.
And has that always been, so you went out and rented that warehouse initially, right away?
Well, I was growing outdoors for a while. I was renting a backyard in Oakland, and I had a greenhouse, and that was great. It was difficult to grow year round just because, it gets really hot in the summer and doesn't get freezing in the winter, but it can get, down the 50s and 40s, and the plants just don't want to grow because it's cold and dark. But I always had my eye set on growing indoors so I could totally control the environment. All these lights that you see are on a timer, so I don't have to, the day is the same for the plants all year round. And I can water them and I don't have to worry about hail or rain, and it's a lot more comfortable for the farmer too.
Mark, stay on that slide for a while. Just leave it there. So I want to point out a couple of this. That's a great one to point out some things. So your currently now leased space warehouse is about how big? How much space do you have where your grow places are located?
I'd probably say about 540 square feet.
Okay.
So not huge, but I grow vertical.
But for microgreens, that actually is a pretty good size. We grow microgreens here at our ranch in a shipping container that's 40 feet long, 8 feet wide, and 9.5 feet tall. So, and we have a 30-inch aisleway in the middle. So the growing area is probably 150 square feet, and we grow enough that our microgreens farmer makes a full-time living. So,
nice. Sounds great.
Yeah. You started out, and tell us how you started getting product in other people's hands and making some money from it.
Well, I actually, when I got laid off from my photography job, I was looking around on, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Craigslist, kind of the online bulletin board, buy and sell. And I was looking in the agricultural section, and I saw that someone had a small microgreen farm in a backyard, and they were looking to sell because the owner, his girlfriend, fiance, got into med school back east, so they needed to move, and he was looking to sell the farm. And something just clicked, and I was like, I could do that. And here we are a year and a half later, and fully in business.
So you bought the trays, you bought the lighting, you bought the racks, everything that you had from them.
I inherited the trays, or purchased them with the business, and then all these racks I purchased myself. All the lighting, obviously, because I moved from outdoor to indoor. Purchased all that, and got a bunch of steel tables. You can't see them in this picture, and microgreen harvester, and
Is that the genesis then of the name Wild Dog Farms, because you bought the name, the business with the name, or did you name that? And tell me, if you named it, what was the motivation for the name?
Actually, I had every option to change the name, do whatever I wanted when I bought the farm. And I love the name so much. And it's actually from the previous owner's dog called Rocco, Stray. And I said I was delighted to keep the name, and went out and got a logo designed and just branded everything with the Wild Dog Farms in mind. So
had they already been selling to customers, and so were you able to inherit their customer base, or how did that work?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So we'll keep going on marketing for a little bit, and then we're going to go back to the growing side. So let's fast forward a year and a half. Tell us approximately who your customers are today. So what percentage of them are your business to consumer, so you're selling directly to people? What percentage are business to business, so probably retailers that are selling? I saw Whole Foods come up on one slide. What's the mix now of what your sales are to?
Right now, I sell to caterers. I have a couple restaurants who buy directly from me. I do have a produce distributor, a wholesaler, that picks up twice a week. They buy in bulk, obviously, and sell to other restaurants in the Bay Area, which saves me a lot of legwork, so I'm not running around making all these deliveries. They just come and pick up in one fell swoop. And I'm currently onboarding with Whole Foods So I'm really excited to see where that's going.
And how much of your product do you sell in, I'll call it individual containers like we see in the photo in the middle of the top row here, versus in trays like we're seeing, which is probably where they were grown, down in the picture right below that in the back of a vehicle?
I sell probably, oh boy, trying to think of a number, maybe 250 clamshells a week, give or take. I was selling to a meal service called Methodology, and they were actually buying in bulk, like the photo that you see next to that. So I was just trimming, 20 pounds at a time into, bus tubs with lids and just delivering them that way, which was nice.
The cool thing about microgreens is you could be growing hundreds of different types of plants. So you have to make choices about what it is that you grow. So let's go there for a minute. And in your clamshells, I saw, as Mark, you can start scrolling now into a number of different other slides, but I saw a variety. It looks like a little bit more of a grassy mix that's in the tray that we saw there. So how many different SKUs do you have in terms of product types?
Oh boy. I'm growing probably about 10 different varieties right now, and they're pretty much all grown to order. So everything you see behind me has already been ordered by the customers or the wholesaler, and I basically grow whatever they want and they like. I love to give suggestions and bring them free samples, and it's a nice working relationship.
And what would you say your most popular mix is then right now, plant-wise?
Pretty much everybody is loving the rainbow mix, so that's been very popular. And cilantro is probably second on that list, just because I'm selling the most of it right now. But I have cabbage, arugula, radish, wasabi. I'm sure you're all familiar with these.
And do you grow in a soil mix or directly on some kind of a pad? Or do you do a combination of those?
I grow only in soil.
Okay. And where does your soil come from?
It comes from a recycler down in Oakland called Be Green Recycling, and they carry lots of different beautifully blended soils that only they have.
Is that what we're seeing in the picture on the right, Mark? Yeah, there we go. And is that some of the soil in those tubs and the Thames?
Yes, and I actually go there and buy it in bulk, and I shovel it into the back of my car. And then everything in the greenhouse is on wheels, and just roll those right into the warehouse space.
Cool. So
and on the other side,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, on the other side, all the used soil I donate to nonprofit urban farms around Oakland.
So you don't reuse any of your soil? So is it a one-time use?
Yes. And other people reuse it, so.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very cool approach. I saw a washing table there. About what's the washing process? Because you're growing in soil, you do have to get that soil off of them, because a lot of people probably pull the microgreens right out of your containers to eat them.
I trim, I only sell cut microgreens, so I don't sell the trays, I don't lease them out. And I cut everything right above the soil level, so the edible part, the part that I'm selling, it technically never touches the soil.
Okay. And tell us a little bit now about the growing process and timing. And so I know it's probably a little different, but from the time that you start and put seed somewhere, probably take us through to harvest.
So varieties differ from how long they take to mature. Most of the varieties I'm growing take 7 to 10 days from seed in the soil to harvest, packaging, and out the door.
By the way, have you ever heard of or ever are you on a mailing list, subscriber list for Curtis Stone? Think that name ring a bell to you?
That name, yeah, rings a bell. I probably watched a couple of the YouTube videos.
He has a very profitable microgreen farm up in Portland that he partners with another person on. He actually does in the ground farming, you know, a small urban area, but has made a living from it. It's all he's done for the last 10 years up in the Okanagan Valley, which is just north of the U.S. border up into Canada. And then he started doing things with microgreens. And he's an educator. And so, yes, he had a huge number of YouTube videos and teaches some courses on microgreens. 7 to 10 days and can be longer. Now, is there an image of your harvesting device? Because is it sort of a small lawnmower that goes across the top? How do you cut above the soil level?
I do have a photo of my harvester on my Instagram. If you can scroll down a little bit.
Direct mark there a little bit, and he'll show. Oh, look at the moon there, by the way. You try to keep your room temperature? It looked like it was about 78 or so on that thermometer we saw. Is that what you optimal is?
Yeah. Try to keep it around there, 75. Try not to go over 80. I have a dehumidifier.
Do you have to add CO2, or do you get enough air circulation that you've got enough CO2 in the air?
No, I have a ton of fans. Obviously, I turned them all off so you could hear me talk. It stays relatively the same temperature, which is nice. I do have a heater if it gets below 60 that I can kick on. But it's so much easier than outdoor, obviously. You can see my little greenhouse set up right there.
Yeah. Is he still going the right direction to find the harvester?
Yes.
Is he going down? Okay, cool.
Yeah, how far down do you think? Oh, there are your pumpkins you talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, let me see.
It should be coming up here pretty soon. Oh, there's me with the pumpkin when I was 10.
Oh, we'll go back to that.
Wow.
I warned you.
So you started at 10. That's really
Yes.
good.
Mark has a
Oh, there it is. There it is. You can see the DeWalt drill that runs it.
Go down a little further, I think, Mark. A little farther down.
Right here?
No, there's a picture of a drill with it, Mark. It's
the
the
yellow
harvester that we're looking for. You either are now down below it, or it's still coming. I think you've gone past it now.
Right.
What do you try to keep your humidity at, or is that?
There it is. There it is.
There it is.
The yellow
Right
drill.
there.
Oh, okay.
So that's
All
my
right.
harvester. Yeah. And it's
Cool.
specifically for microgreens and baby greens. It's meant to harvest out in the field, and you can also get a stand for it, which I obviously have. And it runs by drill power, so you don't plug it in. And it has a blade that goes back and forth really fast, and very sharp blade. And you can adjust the height of the blade to the tray, and you can basically just push the tray through and it cuts it right off at tray level. It's perfect. No dirt, nothing. And it harvests a tray in about 2 seconds.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, that's a game changer. That was the best money I spent.
How about staffing? Is it all just you, or do you have other interns or volunteers or employees or staff, other staff?
Right now, it's just me. So I'm the CEO and janitor. So wear many hats.
And since you sell to wholesalers, you probably don't know the answer to this, but what do you think the farthest away that your product ends up going?
That's a good question. I know there's so many places in just the Bay Area that would love to have them, that I don't see them going too far. And that's what the customers love, because they know what they're getting for their restaurant or their plate has been harvested, less than 24 hours ago versus, been being put on a big truck, coming from LA or, even Sacramento. And that gives the shelf life a little more time, which is perfect. And the freshness, you can't be beat. Most of the restaurants I deliver to, the microgreens have been harvested, within half an hour before. So,
Mark, stay on this slide for a second, and we have various, I'll call it, there, yeah, stay there, Mark. Various, I'll just call it ages of growth, from all the way from one that looks like the seeds haven't even sprouted yet, to not really, it doesn't look like any of these are real close to harvest yet, because they would be thicker. But tell us if any of them are, and maybe even tell us if you can tell by just looking from this what plant types we're seeing, what food types are we seeing in the picture.
okay. And you're correct. These are not ready to harvest. They're not even above the edge of the tray yet. I'm thinking it's probably broccoli, arugula. The pinkish red ones are probably amaranth, which I'm sure you're familiar with. It gets that really bright pink color, and that's perfect for like a rainbow mix. And looks like there's some pea shoots coming up in the background.
Okay. So when you plant, is that automated too, or do you go across it with some kind of a planting device?
Yes, every single seed is planted by me.
How long will it take to plant one tray then?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes.
So planting is longer than harvesting, obviously a lot longer. With a tray and in a matter of seconds.
Exactly.
And is there a way in the future, if you had the resources financially, to more automate the planting side? Because just think what you could do if it only took you 2 or 3 seconds to plant it rather than minutes.
That's true. I haven't figured out a way to automate it yet. It's something that I enjoy doing. It really doesn't take that long once you get everything set up. So you have your seeds. I have my soil bins below the table. I just spread out the trays, get a scoop of soil into each tray, and then tamp it down. Sprinkle the seeds on. I went to a restaurant supply company and got those the little shakers for like mozzarella, at the pizza parlor.
Yeah.
And they have various different sizes of holes at the top. So I have like small, medium, and large, and they fit 99.9 of the seeds that I harvest. So it's really easy. I just scoop it in there, put the right size lid on, and just shake it over the tray, water it down. So it's really easy and fun.
And I think you might have partially answered this, but where do you get your seeds? And it's probably multiple sources.
Actually, 90% of my seed comes, again, locally from Oakland. It's a seed place, it's a company called Kitazawa Seed, and they've been in business, I think, since like 1902. But everything within the farm is, I'm proud to say, is locally sourced within 10 miles of the farm. So seeds, soil, racks, everything. It's cool. A very low footprint.
What are we seeing in the middle row here on the right where it looks like cubes of something inside those bags?
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Okay. On my downtime I had, I was also volunteering for, it's called World Central Kitchen. And during the pandemic, they were distributing meals from local restaurants to people who had been hit hard with COVID. So they needed like extra meals. And so I just used some of my time to volunteer and distribute these meals around. It really didn't have that much to do with microgreens. It was just something I kind of hooked up with.
So those are meals in those bags.
Exactly.
Yeah. On the one where you had the pea seeds and the sunflower seeds, you said that they had been soaking in your spa. I'm assuming some seeds get soaked before you put them into the soil and some don't, or do they all get soaked for some period of time?
About 20% of the seeds that I plant get soaked for anywhere from 8 to 12 hours before planting. And that just helps get the seed cover to soften up so it sprouts a lot easier. So the two that you're looking at are brown speckled peas and then sunflowers, which both kind of have a tougher outer shell, unlike a broccoli seed. So soaking these makes them germinate faster, and they also get rid of their little seed casing easier.
So what's the biggest challenge you have in your business right now?
I am kind of running out of room right now. Business has been really good, and my little space here is rapidly filling up. So at some point, I'm going to have to get a bigger space.
That's not a horrible problem to have to deal with.
It's not a horrible problem at all. It's tougher because it's the Bay Area, so things are, very expensive in an urban environment. But I would love to stay in Oakland because especially West Oakland is kind of a food desert. They don't have a lot of, organic grocery stores. It's mostly like corner stores and liquor stores. So, yeah, I'd like to stay here and just kind of, be a local farmer.
Have you talked to many locals, probably minorities, that maybe had never even heard of microgreens, never even thought that you'd eat immature little plants, that have now eaten some of your stuff and just they're kind of amazed that that's even something you can eat?
Absolutely. A lot of people don't know what microgreens are, and they, especially when you say, well, this tiny little plant is actually a broccoli, like you get in the supermarket. And it just kind of blows their mind that, oh, you can eat broccoli when it's only 1.5 inches tall, and yet you're getting concentrated nutrients of the adult plant. So some of these microgreens are up to 40 times more nutrition than the adult plant because you're eating the entire plant, not just the bulbs on top of the broccoli, but you're eating everything, and it's a nice little tender package. And it's I like to tell people that it's great for kids because I know kids can be super picky eaters, but you can almost disguise these as perfect. You could put them in tacos,
Right.
and instead of just iceberg lettuce, which really doesn't have any nutritional value at all, you're actually feeding your kids, broccoli and arugula and radish and getting all those nutrients, but you're still, giving them food that they want to eat too, like tacos and burgers. And it's not just salads like people think, oh, okay, you just toss them on salads. It's like, no, you can put them on anything, and sneak them into kids' meals.
So how do you water? From above? Are they sprayed? What's the watering situation?
I just hand water. I do have bigger trays that the smaller trays go into, sort of flood trays, and those have been working out really well. Versus individually watering the trays, I can water 4 at a time.
What about pests? How has that been? Have you had insects or?
I do get some soil gnats, which are always annoying, especially indoors. But I have been trying to solve that problem and do it naturally, because obviously I can't spray anything because everything here is edible. So what I've been doing is, so this is one of my carnivorous plants that I have, and they eat quite a lot of gnats. I have sticky ones, and I have the Venus flytraps and everything like that. So it's a little bit of evil fun to watch your pests get eaten.
Do you have any kind of biosecurity on your doorways for where you go in and out, so that you're somehow, protecting anything coming in from the outside?
I haven't really had a problem with pests, other than just some little soil gnats, and I can put up, fly strips as well. That pretty much takes care of the problem. But no other pests. The soil is really great, so I'm not seeing any other pests. Another reason that growing indoors is great.
By the way, anybody in the audience who wants to ask questions at any point, just put it into the Q&A box, and I'll get to them and ask. Let's talk about just a little broader questions that I ask almost all the entrepreneurs that I get the opportunity to have an interaction with. Who's somebody in your life when you were, let's say, under 20 that had an amazing influence on you other than your parents? And you can either give a specific name or just the description, and then kind of why. What was it that you got from them?
Wow. Before you said my parents, the first person who came to mind was my dad. He taught me gardening, and that was a special bond that we really shared. Boy, outside of that, it's hard to pinpoint it on one person. It's, you meet people, you talk, you compare notes, and yeah, just kind of helps along the way.
What's another microgreen farmer that maybe you've studied a little bit?
Oh boy, the one you mentioned before, I've watched his videos. Donnie Green's.
Donnie used to live with us.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah. And actually, he's from Indiana originally.
Oh, no kidding.
Right south of, in Gary, Indiana, right south of the Chicago area.
Nice.
It's a very tough place.
I'm from South Bend, so I know that area very well.
Well, we alternate. We have our national alpaca show every other year here in Denver, and then the other opposite year it's in South Bend at a large facility there. So we get to South Bend on a regular basis. How about after sort of your early years, is there a person that has had a big influence on you business-wise or life-wise?
Wow. Other than my dad, I'm really kind of self-taught. So I've always enjoyed having my own business. You know, initially it was photography, and so something about that just I love to consume videos and articles, and once I get a passion for something, I just read everything I possibly can about it, and get other people's opinions. I also follow a bunch of people on Instagram who are microgreen growers, and follow some forums as well on Facebook. And we're always giving each other advice or support or mentorship to each other. So that's helped out a lot.
Because you mentioned your dad, is he still with us? And what is his thoughts, if he is, about your business now?
Sadly, he passed away 2 years ago, right before I got the business.
Before you got started with it. Wow.
Yeah, I know he would have been just absolutely delighted with it and thought it was really special. So, and a good fit for his daughter.
Yeah, I bet he would have.
Yeah.
So now let's go back to practical things a little more. Tell us about a tool that you use that you didn't know about, let's say, a year ago. No, not a year. That's too long because you're new in your business. 6 months ago, even, that you use now that you would highly recommend to others. It could be an internet-related tool. It could be a photography tool. It could be something you use. I mean, you've shown us your cutter and so on. Maybe that's it. But what would be that tool that you would describe for people?
I've had the cutter longer than 6 months, but it totally blew my mind when I found out about it, and I had to have one. Boy, I think I learned something just about every day, and I love building my own stuff and experimenting with stuff. And yeah, like I said, the flood trays are kind of new, where I was just individually wiring the trays, and now I can do it 4 at a time, which is a big time saver. Basically, I just keep researching lighting and different kind of fans, and I'd like to set up an automatic watering system as well, because right now it's a 7 a day weekend job. So I haven't been on vacation in quite a while, but I love it. I don't see this as coming to the office again. I always look forward to it every day. But yeah, a nice weekend would be great to have off. So again, I'm experimenting with some automatic watering. And once I get that set up, that will be a game changer.
Where do you see your business in 5 years?
Oh God, definitely getting bigger. I will probably be in a much bigger space by then. Probably have staff, and I have just started reaching out to produce distributors, and they've all been very excited about wanting to represent Wild Dog Farms. So at this point, I need to focus on getting a bigger space because I don't want to overcommit myself. But pretty much the sky's the limit. I mean, the Bay Area is such a foodie town. There's so many restaurants coming back online after COVID. Caterers, weddings are starting to fire up again. So it's, yeah, literally the sky is the limit. It's so many hours in the day, but I'm having a great time. And it's very nutritious and beneficial. So I can really stand behind the product.
About how much do you pay for your trays? Either your collection trays underneath the trays that you're growing in, or the trays themselves.
The big flood trays, which are about 2 feet by 4 feet, those are about $48 a piece. They're pretty sturdy. And the smaller trays, probably about $1.50 to $2 a piece. I have about 500 of those.
And in the middle, the top picture there, are those the smaller ones you're describing? Is that what we're seeing there?
Oh, those are, yeah, just seed starters. That's actually not my photo, but I think it was just a side project.
Well, these trays we're seeing here that Mark that are scrolling across, are those your primary growing trays?
Yes.
And the reason I'm asking is something that I hope maybe we can help you with. So, I'm not told you anything about our history, but we've figured out how to use shipping containers to be able to grow things indoors all over the world by insulating them and doing all kinds of things with them. And we've grown everything you can imagine in them, all the way from initially fodder, which is immature wheat and barley grown for 6 to 7 days to feed livestock. So that was initially what we did with them, to microgreens that I mentioned, human grown, to large mature plants grown in an aquaponic setting, so fish being in some reservoirs at the bottom of the system. And they're completely automated, all being able to be run from an iPad or a phone. And so our trays, if we buy them, were costing us $8. And they're about 12 inches by 30 inches by probably about a half an inch in terms of their depth. We made our own extrusion system, a jury-rigged one, and we're able to make them for 20 to 30 cents a tray.
Nice.
And so if tray costs ever become an issue, I think I know we have some webinars, Mark, and we can get Shell referred to one to watch and actually watch this extrusion machine in process. And all we buy is a large piece of plastic, 4x8 piece of plastic, and then we literally just put it through the extrusion, and it heats them, and then we just cut them around where they've been made, and we can make them for a quarter of what they would cost us normally, and with our own draining design. So we want our water to drain to the front. We have gutters in the front of our systems. The water drains into the gutters and goes down to these large water reservoirs at the bottom of our system. So we're actually growing cannabis clones now. And
That's the thing to do now, especially in Colorado.
For very specific growers. Well, and that is mostly hemp, but there are 1 or 2 marijuana growers that we also grow for. It's completely legal. I saw a pad there on that one last, that slide on the right, Mark. So you must grow some things on pads. I see some hands lifting up a pad.
That's actually from the previous owner. I also took over the Instagram page. So these are photos from maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
And he used to work up in Napa for a larger farm. That's why you're seeing all these other plants and not just microgreens. And then he decided to focus on microgreens and then moved down to the Bay Area from Napa.
Cool. So a couple other questions, just generally, let people get to know you and such. This is kind of sometimes a tough one, but tell us about some event that has happened in your life that at the time seemed incredibly negative. You could be as general or as specific as you want. But then when you look back at it after some period of time, you realize that it turned out for the good. It was actually a real positive situation. We all have those, one kind or another.
Definitely. I would have to say losing my job due to COVID. When I was working as an in-house photographer, I loved that job. It was great. I was, very sad to get laid off. But it forced me to pivot in a totally different direction because no one was hiring photographers anymore, due to the pandemic. So, and if it hadn't, obviously COVID has been a horrible endurance for the last, almost 2 years. But because of that certain circumstance where I got laid off, I was able to pivot into this, and I never would have if I hadn't lost my job, which, was scary. Got to pay the rent, but I'm so glad I found this.
Awesome. Seen the cat in some pictures several times.
Again, these are not my photos. So.
Oh, those ones, okay.
Yeah, the later ones of the little ginger cat, those are my photos. So
cool. What would be a suggestion you'd make that a brand new microgreen farmer should be thinking about as they get started?
Don't be afraid of failure. Stuff's going to go wrong. Seeds aren't going to germinate. You're going to get mold issues. You're going to drop a tray that you're just getting ready to harvest, and it's going to land upside down on the floor. You're going to lose clients. You're going to gain new ones. It's farming, so everything is very fluid. And yeah, don't get discouraged. There's a lot of moving parts at the beginning, but I mean, I still make mistakes every day, and I learn from them and try not to make them again. But yeah, and I've dropped trays, I've knocked stuff over, I've had trays full of mold, and it's like, I needed that tray. But it's all an experiment. Right. And that's where the forums come in, because you can say, oh my God, what happened to this tray? Like half of it died. And somebody will say, oh, well, try this method, or, use food grade peroxide and spray that on some of your mold, and that'll take care of the problem, which it did. So it's all a learning experience.
You just mentioned an old school word, forums. Are there ones that you follow fairly regularly that you would tell us about that people could follow also?
Yeah, there's obviously there's YouTube where you can watch videos, but if you want direct feedback, I subscribe to a bunch on Facebook, and you can just type in like microgreen growers. I think there's even one that was started by Donnie Greens. That's a good one. And then you get immediate feedback. You're not just watching a video saying, well, that didn't really address my problem. That was nice. I learned some stuff, but I have a personal problem with one of my trays, and I need a direct answer. So I found that that's been very helpful versus just watching YouTube video after YouTube video. So you can directly ask your question on what's going on, and you'll get a whole bunch of different replies from actual microgreen growers all over the country and all over the world. And that's how I've learned the fastest. And it's a good support group, because you're going to see that everyone else makes mistakes just like you. And some of the people, you'll have answers to their questions because you've done that and been there and figured it out. But if you could help somebody else, that's great.
We've seen several images of farmers markets. How often do you have tables/booths at farmers markets?
I have done one, and that's it. I'm really not interested in doing farmers markets. I know that sounds totally counterintuitive, but my whole goal has been bulk. So I just don't see how 8 hours at a farmer's market, setting up early in the morning, selling, maybe 50 clamshells, and then breaking all that down. I love talking to people, I love educating people about microgreens, but I just, for a business stance, I just want to go toward the higher end, the bigger stores and distributors. That's my personal goal. I'm not saying don't do farmers markets. It could be super fun, and educating people and watching their eyes light up when you explain what actually a microgreen is and what can it do. But for my business sense, I'm looking in bulk.
Well, we're getting close to an hour here, and we want to be respectful of your time and our audience's time. And we have way more people that will watch replays over time. That literally, you have thousands that will watch replays, so I want to be respectful of them too. But what is it that you'd like to share that you haven't been able to yet, that hasn't fit into the questions that I've asked? And Mark, if you've got any questions, please ask.
Have any questions, but it's amazing things that you're doing. Really great. I ought to try some of these at home. So yeah.
You should. Mark lives in Bangladesh, by the way, and he could figure out with a window area or something, because you could do this on a small scale.
Absolutely,
Right.
100%. Yeah, you don't have to go, this far to grow some at home. There's even microgreen kits out there that, they're small, they're made for a kitchen window, and they have the seeds, they have the little, growing pad, and all you have to do is water them. They're actually really easy to grow, and they're so good. So, and it doesn't cost a lot of money.
Right, but I might have to do some research on, the types of soil I need, or fertilizers or things like that, maybe, or how often I should water them, what to get the seeds, things like that.
Mm-hmm. I personally don't use any fertilizer. The seeds.
I didn't ask about that because I didn't think you did. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
The seeds have everything they need to germinate and sprout to that level inside the actual seed. So you don't need to fertilize them whatsoever. And that's another plus, because you're not adding any other chemicals to what you're growing. It's just the earth, water, and then the seed. And that's all you need.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Again, let's end on this one again. If you've got, Shell, anything you want to give us sort of as parting statement, we'll end with that.
Well, if you're new to microgreens, have an open mind. And if you ever get a chance to try some, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on how many different flavors there are. Some are super spicy, like the wasabi greens that I grow. Some people say they're way too spicy. They actually, you could feel the burning sensation in your nose. And of course, broccoli tastes like, nice, tender, young broccoli. Pea shoots taste like spring peas. So they come in a lot of different flavors. I know these trays just, they all look kind of green. So it looks like, oh, well, maybe I'm just going to be tasting grass. But it's actually a lot of different flavors. And I do tours all the time of my little farm. And I do kind of like, it's almost like wine tasting, but it's microgreen tasting. And people can sample whatever they want, as much as they want. And most of them are quite amazed at the different tastes of them, and the different colors that they come in, like purple cabbage and radish, and of course bright pink amaranth. So they're like, wow, I had no idea that was actually a thing. So,
how should people get a hold of you if they wanted to schedule a tour?
You can contact me through Instagram. Is probably the best.
Back up to the top of the Instagram page, Mark, please. There we go.
You can message me, and I usually respond right away. And I'm happy to get feedback, comments. I've gotten people ask me questions through Instagram on, how to grow. So I'm always happy to chat about it. But yeah, come by. I'd love to give you a tour.
Very cool. And by the way, Oakland can be a lot nicer than places that are below freezing right now. So in the winter,
that is an advantage. Yes, I can't complain about the weather here.
Right, right. Well, Shel, thank you so much. Mark, thank you for your work. Audience, thank you. All of you watching as replays later, thank you for watching. And I think we have our next webinar next.
Thank you so much. We'll have more webinars coming up on the Colonomic Action team. Look for emails that come to your inbox from Dr. Wayne Band or from the IT community, the action team, and you'll get notified of our upcoming webinars. Folks, we hope to see you back again on IT. Thanks.